And we are live. Hello and welcome to Forever Red Devils for your latest Manchester United news and updates. And tough weekend for United, saving a little bit of face really with that 2-2 draw to Everton, but once again exposing just the state of a side that is devoid of confidence and class, to be perfectly honest. And lots of pressure mounting on Ruben Amorim because the situation starting to become untenable. It really is, and whether or not, he is to blame or it's the players likes of it, things are going to start changing very soon because, we're sitting here just staring down the barrel of a gun. And, we've got, about 10 days until we've got a Europa League tie. This weekend, we've got Fulham on Sunday. So basically, our entire season could ride on the next sort of 10 days. If you go, for example, and we're playing away to Real Sociedad, you go and lose heavily to Sociedad, you get knocked out by Fulham, for example, our entire season comes to an end. And if you look at our fixtures, you've got Ipswich, Fulham, Real Sociedad, Arsenal, Real Sociedad again. And then we've got Leicester before the international breaks. And the question remains, what is the plan? What would be a good scenario going into the international break? We're talking about, just trying to get through the next round of the FA Cup and the Europa. Is that probably where we're at? Which I think it is. I think if we can get to the next round of both those competitions, then happy days. Something is still there to play for. But if we get knocked out of those, well, then might as well call the damn season off because there literally will be nothing else to play for. So yeah, we've got Ipswich on Wednesday. So we've got a bit of midweek football, and I think the main thing is interesting to see who is back for it as we kind of continue to try to get a bit of the squad back. I tell you what I would like to do on Wednesday. I would like to see Chido Obi starting. I think that what we saw from the youngster on the weekend was somebody who looked sharp, who looked bright, who looked very aware. And I think, we're sitting here consistently struggling to score goals, and you've got a player in him who's scoring a lot of goals for you. I don't think we would really be much worse off by playing him against Ipswich, especially ahead of Fulham on Sunday. If you can, for example, play him on Wednesday, he plays well, scores a goal, for example, or something like that, then he becomes a genuine option for this weekend. And at this stage, my biggest gripe has been the fact that, especially against that Spurs result, we're not trying to see what else we've got. And I understand you don't want to throw, youngsters into the deep end, the likes of that, but if things aren't working, make a change. And this is what I think the problem at the moment is that we've been playing and where things have not been going well, where we've not been playing well, where things are definitely not working, and yet no sort of change is coming. Amarin's not looked to sort of try and play somebody maybe in a different position or start a youngster who plays in the position that he wants, that he needs. And yet, the results sort of remain the same. So it's becoming a very frustrating situation. Now, what I will say is we seem to have actually made a half decent signing, back on the weekend. So I thought Patrick Dorgu was very good against Everton. Was probably the second best player on the pitch for us. And I think it's sort of stat that like the only person to touch the ball more for us than him was Bruno Fernandes. So good to see that he sort of settled in. And it's amazing what you can see the player who's part of the system and in the right system is making a big difference. So that's probably one of the big arguments that Ruben Amorim might have in terms of sticking to a system. He says that you look at a player like a Patrick Dorgu who fits the system properly and how he's looking a lot better in that sort of left wing back position. So I think he will be arguing if you can get me more players like that, more players that kind of fit the system, then the results will come and he'll start to be able to get over the line a bit more and find a bit more consistency. The problem comes, how long do we have to wait? And the reason I'm talking about that is that there are fresh rumours arriving this morning about Xavi Hernandez being on the list of potential United successors if they were to go back on Ruben Amorim. So it's come out in Tribunal.com, a couple of tweets and likes about it, but basically the big thing is that Xavi is apparently getting ready to return to management next season. He took a bit of a break after the Barcelona vibe. Apparently he was on the list for to come into United, and but he wasn't ready to come back basically. Now he is allegedly ready to come back to management, looking at options. United will remain an option for him because, he'll be looking at it as a really big job. And you get paid very nicely. And at the moment, Ruben Amorim is under pressure. It's a while to consider that we might be looking to sack him, 4 months in. But if this continues like the rest of the season, and we at this stage, we lose a couple more games, like you lose to Ipswich, for example, we genuinely start to join that relegation that battle, because Ipswich would then be 10 points behind us if they were to win on Wednesday, for example. And 10 points is I mean, for example, if I was sitting 10 points behind top four, you'd be going outside shove, but not likely. Similar situation in the relegation battle. The main thing is we are less than half the points of Liverpool at the top of the league. We are 34 points behind the top of the league. Let that sink in. 34 points behind first. And we are 14 points behind fourth. I mean, that also shows you, Liverpool, by the way, who now used to have games in hand, now has actually got to play one more game than anybody else. But they're basically not uncatchable. You've got Forest and Arsenal, Arsenal are 11 points behind. Forest are about 17 points behind, I think it is. So that becomes what, 14 with a game in hand, or 14 with games level. So Liverpool have all but wrapped up the league, and the chance of us getting top four, well, it's 14 points. I don't see that happening, and I don't even see us getting to the top flipping 10, which is Fulham in 10th, who got 39 points. So this is going down as probably the worst United season ever. It's becoming a joke. I mean, Everton are ahead of us, stayed ahead of us, and we were actually lucky to get that result against Everton, because at one stage we were staring down the barrel of another defeat. So it's disaster stations, and Xavi, I think, were he available, would have made a lot more sense to come to United than Ruben Amorim. I think in terms of the formation he played at Barcelona, the way he played, and nice big personality where he can really challenge the sort of the players, the likes of that. He's managed at Barcelona. He kind of knows the expectation, the likes of that. And it's so frustrating because, Ruben Amorim is a young manager. He's 40 years old, literally like young in his managerial career, and a young manager. Very ambitious. That part is very clear, and very much understands what he's all about and understands the way he wants to play and seeks to understand his ideas. But they're not working, and again, are they not working because of the players? Because the players aren't the right thing? But can we afford to do another rebuild? Only for maybe things to continue not working? And the main thing, and this is what a lot of supporters are saying, is regardless of whether, he needs the players, I think the main thing is, he needs the players to be able to contend with even your Newcastles or your Chelsea, your Bournemouth, your Villas. We shouldn't need new players to be able to beat Everton, Palace, Brentford, teams that are bottom off the table and having terrible seasons. I mean, you look at our squad versus an Everton squad. There are better players in our squad. And yet, David Moyes come and turn that Everton around like this. And they, at one stage, were looking very short to get relegated. And I think it's still, I don't think any team has taken more points from the Premier League since he's come in than Everton. So it shows you what a new manager bounce can do. We just haven't had it. We have not had a new manager bounce at all. There was no bounce. I mean, as I said, the main thing I think people are saying is that we were 4 or 5 points. No, I think a bit more than that. I think we were about 8 or 9 points away from top four. Was it like 4 or 5 points? Oh yeah, it was actually, because we had that run under Ruben Amorim. I think we were about 5 points away from top four when Ruben Amorim came in. We're now sitting 14 points away from top four. So we've completely. I want to go look at his stats, because his win percentage is appalling. Like, if he were to get sacked now, he would go down as the worst Manchester United manager of all time. At the very least in the Premier League area, that's the reality. So if we look over here, his win percentage at United is 40.91%. It's ludicrous. That's absolutely ludicrous. 40% win percentage as a Manchester United manager. And you look at the games ahead, and it's not like there's, all these massive lots of winnable games, because unfortunately United, I don't think we've got a winnable game in us anymore. When was the last time you looked at a game and thought, yeah, no, we should definitely easily win that, because you think you should be beating Everton, and you don't. With Spurs having the injury crisis they did, you think, well, maybe that's a team that, we can definitely try and exploit, given their issues. We didn't do that. We lost to Crystal Palace, who used to do, I think, just about, actually, in the Premier League. We got hammered by Brighton. So since the last time we won a game comfortably in the Premier League was Southampton on the 16th of January. It's well over a month ago. And that was the back of that really nice little sort of comeback where we drew to Liverpool, beat Arsenal in penalties, beat Southampton. You're suddenly thinking, oh, we finally turned a circle. Since then, lost to Brighton, beat Rangers, beat Fulham, and then beat Young Boys, lost to Palace, beat Leicester in the FA Cup, lost to Spurs, drew to Everton. So it's an absolute disaster. Now, in terms of how I want to see Xavi, I mean, at this stage, I feel like he can't do much worse. I think that he has a nice pool in terms of being able to hopefully get players in. I think players will want to come and play under him, and has got the bigger personality, I think, type of thing. But at this stage, I think the main thing is he can't do any worse, and that in itself is quite exciting. The big talk at the moment is Paul Pogba, and I mean, state of the club right now that this is even being considered. So stories are once again popping up that United are prepared to offer Paul Pogba a 1-year contract to see what he can do. Now, I think this is a terrible idea, absolutely terrible. I think he becomes available back in March. So in theory, I think obviously this weekend you could then be signing a contract and sort of start playing again. Yes, I know we've got an injury crisis, but I just don't understand. You've talked about the fact that you've had to ship away Marcus Rashford, who's got, apparently an ego issue and wasn't prepared to work hard and training like that. And then you're going to go and bring in the player who's like the most synonymous with what was going wrong with United, with having the wrong attitude, with not being able to, with not be prepared to work hard and the likes of that, to try and remove the egos in the dressing room. And then you want to bring someone like him. Now, look, maybe, especially given where his career is, he might just come down, be quiet, put his head down and work hard. Not sure that's within his personality. But also, we've got no idea the type of player we're getting. I really don't think that, if he was a non-problematic player and you're thinking, right, well, he was a great player, he's going to put his head down, work hard. We're not sure he's going to be good enough yet, but maybe it's worth the risk. Fine. But he's also got the ability to upset the changing room and to upset the balance and to create issues, much bigger issues within the squad. And given that's the case, I don't understand why this is even being considered. So apparently there's been direct contact between him and everything not been confirmed. Even Fabrizio Romano said there's nothing concrete at the moment with regards to a potential return. If there is a return, then allegedly it will be a 1-year contract. It will be low wages, high bonuses, which is always going to have to be the case. You can't be putting him on £200,000 a week, put him on, 40,000 pounds a week, and you say, right, these are some of the bonuses if you play well. Man of the match bonuses, goal bonuses, appearance bonuses as well, for example, and stuff like that. Maybe it does become a really good sign because obviously he'd be on a free, which considering how much you paid for him previously. But he's 31 years old, turns 32 in March, so he's not old. But again, we don't know if the legs are there. We don't know if he's still got the ability to be able to change games. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't want to really see it. I don't think that's the solution, and I think that that's a massive step backwards. We're not taking any steps forward at the moment. I don't really want to take more steps backwards. So we'll have to wait and update whether that becomes a bit more of a solid story. There's a lot of rumors floating around about it. As I said, nothing from David Ornstein. Fabrizio Romano saying it's nothing concrete, but he would fill a hole in terms of us not having a lot of midfielders at the moment. And also imagine, he's already left United twice. To come back now for a third stint would be, I just think it'd be a disaster. I just don't see any. I think there's such small remoteness of success that's just not worth the risk. I think you're going to bring a player back in. There's going to be a big hoo-ha about him and the likes of that. It's going to detract away from everything else we're trying to work on. This is another problem, I think. I think it'd just be another bad mistake that Ineos would make. So it's probably about right, actually, if we were then to go and sign it, given the fact that we're continuously making these sort of mistakes. But I don't know, what do you think? Let me know what you think of potentially signing him. Other transfer rumors is that Nico Williams is an option for United. He has a £49 million release clause in the summer from Bilbao. I would love to have him. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he'd be a really, really good signing, especially if we were to lose Marcus Rashford. He's 22 years old. I think it'll be a bit of a race for him. I don't think he'll be the only Premier League club, for example. I'm sure that Chelsea will probably look at him. I'm sure Arsenal will look at him as well. So I do think that there's going to be competition for him. And as soon as the competition, I don't really see how he win apart from outbidding and stuff. But, now there's rumours that there's such little money at United that, lunch is being cut and all this is being cut and there's every sort of cost saving happening. So you just don't see, we're never going to be able to win a transfer war, a bidding war. We're not going to win a bidding war. We don't have the money at the moment. So he's a phenomenal player. He fits the bill. He's a good price. I just don't think we'll be able to get it. But he would be a fantastic signing if we could get that over the line. Barcelona are keen on him, and I think that he basically had a pick of clubs, to be perfectly honest, and he really is that good. So that was the only other sort of big transfer rumor at the moment. Him and Pogba, it's continuing stories about Victor Osimhen, but as all comes down to once again the financials. I'm not really worried about the player himself in terms of the form he gets. That's right. We know what the player's about. We know that we want to bring that kind of player in. It just comes down to the money, same as any sort of move for Željković, where it's same thing. We're not in the arts about the player. It's about the money involved, and can we kind of get that sort of signing over the line? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well.